Nobody has ever been hired because of the Google certificate, and I still tell people to take this all the time. So let me explain that. Half the people asking if the Google certificate is actually worth it have already decided that it isn't. They just want somebody to give them permission to actually skip it. And the other half of the people are thinking that this is the only thing that's standing in between them and a $75,000 job. So both of these people are wrong. I'm going to give you the honest answer and not that affiliate link answer, because almost every video on this topic exists to sell you the enrollment. I'll tell you exactly what that certificate does, what it doesn't do, and the type of person it's actually worth it for. And stay to the very end, because the mistake that makes this certificate a total waste of money isn't actually buying it. It's what people do after the day that they finish it. So let me be fair to it before we tear into it, because most of the hate online is pretty lazy. The Google certificate is a self-paced program by Coursera. It has 9 courses and millions of people have enrolled. And if you actually move, you can finish this in about 6 months or so. It's cheap, it's on a monthly subscription, so the faster you go, the less you pay, right? So some people can finish it for the price of a few dinners. And the content isn't fake here. It covers actual foundations of the job, like spreadsheets, SQL, some analytics processing, a little bit of Python, some Tableau at the end. That's not nothing. That's genuinely the skeleton of what a junior analyst role actually is. So Google didn't put garbage in this. So when people say that the Google certificate is a scam, well, they're actually wrong. It teaches real things from real company for really cheap. But here's the part that they don't tell you though. Learning the foundation and being employable are two completely different things. The certificate is the foundation. That is it. And it was never designed to get you the rest of the way there. And it doesn't pretend to in the fine print. I took a longer, messier version of this path myself with no degree. So I'm not talking down to anyone who wants to actually start here. The way I learned fundamentals was primarily through different resources spread across Stack Overflow, blog posts, YouTube, courses on tools that I took myself. But after I learned all of these things, I realized that the tools and getting hired are not the same problem. So really, I want to tell you where the road actually ends, so you don't think that you're at the finish line when you're actually at the starting line. So yes, it's cheap, it's real, it teaches you great foundations, which brings us to the thing everybody actually wants to know. This certificate does not get you hired. I need you to really sit with that, because the entire marketing around it implies the opposite. Think about it from the other side of the table for 1 second. How many people do you think has the exact same certificate on the resume right now? Millions of people have been enrolled, so I'm sure at least a few 100,000 people have this same exact certificate as you do on their resume. And that's the real problem here. A credential that everybody has is not a credential. It's a baseline. It really only moves you from you didn't try to tried. And that's a smaller jump than it actually feels like. So when a hiring manager sees the Google certificate on your resume, they don't think, we need to hire this person right now. They think, okay, this person has learned or at least heard of SQL. That's really the only signal this certificate on your resume gives people. So here I want to show you an actual junior analytics position that I found on LinkedIn right now. It doesn't say that this candidate must have a Google certificate. It says you need working knowledge of SQL. You need a basic understanding of data visualization just in general, and strong attention to detail, the boilerplate stuff. And the rest of it is an interest in the domain that this job is for. It's asking whether you can do the work, while the certificate says you can learn the work. Those are not the same claim here. And the resume is where that gap gets exposed, right? There's also this quiet expectation that finishing it comes with some kind of job pipeline. Like Google is just going to hand you interviews. It doesn't. You finish, the platform congratulates you, and then you're standing in the same exact market as everybody else, holding the same exact certificate as everybody else. And that's the exact place where most people break. They did the honest work. They finished those 9 courses and they earn the thing. And then they apply to 40 jobs and hear nothing. I hear this over and over again when people message me if this certificate is worth it or they finished it. They got the certificate. They applied everywhere to hundreds of jobs and they get silence. And they conclude that they're not good enough at the job. They didn't learn the right things. maybe they're not right for this type of work. So they stopped, but they stopped one step too early, all while thinking, oh, getting into data is oversaturated. And so they quit. But the truth is, they just stopped literally right where the work is supposed to happen, which is the actual mistake. And it's not the one you think. Here is the mistake. And I promised it at the top. The mistake is treating the certificate as the finish line when it's the starting line. The certificate is about like 5 or 10% of getting hired. That's it. It's not 50%. It's not the hard part. It's the on-ramp to getting where you want to be. And the reason people treat it as the finish line is because it feels like an accomplishment. You get a shareable badge when you complete it. You get to post it on LinkedIn. People say, hey, congratulations. So all of that feels like progress, but none of it is proof that you can actually do the job. And an employer pays for proof. They don't pay for progress. Think about that for a second. Think about what the certificate never asks you to do. It never asks you to answer that messy business question with no clear answer. It never made you clean data that was genuinely broken at its core. It never had you defend a decision to a stakeholder who absolutely disagreed with you. It gave you a clean data set, some clear instructions, and the answer was waiting for you at the end of it. The actual job has none of these three things. So when you finish it, you don't have a portfolio, you have some completed assignments, and that's a massive difference between the two, right? An assignment says, I followed instruction. A portfolio project says, I found a question nobody handed me and I answered it. Guess which one gets the interview? Now, the people who win with this certificate are the ones who finish it and immediately think, okay, now the real work starts. The people who lose are the ones who think, okay, I'm done. Now I can be hired. Same certificate, the same 9 courses, but completely different outcomes decided entirely by what you believe you finished. So let me show you something to give you a little clarity on what I'm talking about. The certificate is this tiny slice at the very front of this, while portfolio, proof, visibility is the rest of it. Most people celebrate at the very front of this and never walk the rest of the way to where you actually get hired. That's not a certificate problem, that's a mapping problem. So this certificate isn't a waste. Stopping at the certificate is a waste, which means the real question isn't, is it worth it? It's worth it for who? So let me actually answer worth it for who, because the honest answer is some of you, yes, and some of you, no. It's worth it if you are completely new and you don't know what data analytics even is day to day or what that looks like. The certificate is cheap, is structured, and that's real value there. Let's really be honest about that. It's worth it if you're the kind of person who needs to follow a track. So if you blank on something like someone telling you, just go learn SQL, and that makes you freeze, having 9 courses and telling you what to do in order, that's worth the subscription alone. And it's worth it if you use it as a filter on yourself. If you can't finish a cheap self-paced certificate about this field in general, that's pretty useful information before you spend the next 12 months trying to get into data. Now here's for who it's not worth it. If you already know SQL and you've already touched the dashboard, this certificate is going to feel slow and obvious. You don't need to pay to be told what a pivot table is. Your time is better spent building something real that proves what you already have learned. And it's not worth it if you're buying it as a shortcut. If the thought in your head was ever, once I have this, I'm qualified, you're buying the wrong thing here. There is no certificate on this planet that ends with a job, this one included. Anyone selling you that is selling you a feeling. And I get this from multiple people from different experiences in my messages all the time. Some are beginners, some are more advanced and still want to ask if this certificate is worth it for them. So it all depends on where they are in their data journey. So beginners who need a map to follow, yeah, is perfect for you. People avoiding the real work, no, not at all. And once you actually know which type of person you are, then you have your game plan already set there for you. But if you decide it's worth it for you, here's how to not waste it. You pair it with the thing that it doesn't give you. The certificate gives you the tools, high level at the tools, let's be honest here. What hires you is the proof you can use the tools on a problem nobody handed you. Not something clean, it needs to be messy. So you build in parallel while you learn. The day you learn SQL is the day you find a real messy data set on Kaggle or something like that, and you ask it a real business question. Not the clean one that you found in the lesson, a messy one. The day you touch Tableau or Python, you don't just follow the tutorial. You build a dashboard or answer a question on something you actually care about, and then you write up why it matters. That's the real move here to get you working knowledge of the tools that you're learning, is learn the concept inside the certificate and then immediately spend some time on some real work outside the certificate. And then that last piece that nobody actually does, probably 1% of people who are actually trying to get into data actually do this part. You make your work visible. You post about it. You write about it. You put it where the hiring managers have to trip over it just to go on with their day. A portfolio just sitting in a folder on your laptop hires nobody because they don't see it. The same portfolio out in public, explained clearly, changes your whole search. This is basically the entire idea of why I built Analyst Hive. It's a 90-day sequence where you have daily tasks, and the certificate content is maybe the first few days. The other 80-odd days are the part that actually gets you hired. Because knowing what to do isn't the problem. Knowing what to do today in order is, and that's the whole thing. So this certificate is step 1. Proof is step 2. Visibility is step 3. Which finally lets me give you the straight verdict. It's a good first domino. It's a terrible entire plan, right? And most people buy it as the entire plan, which is why most people are disappointed. If you buy it as a first step and you're already looking at step 2 before you finish, it's some of the best $40 you'll probably ever spend breaking into data. But if you're buying it in hopes that it does the hard part for you, you'll finish it, feel done, feel accomplished, and you'll apply it to silence. And then you'll blame the market like everyone else does. The certificate was never the deciding factor. What you do after you finish it is the deciding factor. So don't ask if the certificate is worth it. Ask if you're willing to do the 90% it doesn't cover, because that's the real question, and only you can answer that. Tell me the truth in the comments. Did you finish the Google certificate and you got interviews? Or did you finish it and hear nothing? I want to see the split here. If you want the stuff the certificate skips, the portfolio, the resume, the actual hiring game, that's what I make videos about. So subscribe and I'll walk you through all of it.